couple of weeks ago, I made a video in Skegness where I asked if it was the worst seaside town in the UK. Today, we're flipping that idea on its head because we are in what I consider to be the best seaside town in the UK. Let's come and have a little explore around Bournemouth. And we are starting things off at the halfway point between the upper gardens over there and the lower gardens down there. The sea is that way. We're going to go through the gardens because I think it's the nicest way to make it to Bournemouth seafront. We've parked over there. The town centre's kind of that way, and then there's a bit more of it that way. I don't feel the need to show you all of the chain shops that you've seen before. I want to show you what's unique about Bournemouth. And as far as I'm concerned, the fact that it's got a park like this that leads down to the seafront, that is a pretty unique feature. And yes, before anyone says anything, we have been blessed with some fantastic seaside weather today, so it is going to be slightly contrasting to the rainy, overcast day when we looked at Skegness, but I don't think that should weigh into the decision process. So the lower gardens are really nice. They lead all the way down to the seafront. Like I say, they've got this little stream that runs all the way through it as well, which I'm sure we'll wander over towards in a second. Lots of other nice little water feature and just general ornamental stuff, which is very pleasant. Lots of places for people to sit around on the grass, have a nice time. Public toilets, always useful. And a little place to grab some snacks and some all-important New Forest ice cream, the best ice cream in the world. But we're going to head down this way because this is the way to the beach. I'm a little bit sad because for many, many years there was a hot air balloon just there, which, I mean, I hated it. I went up in it once and absolutely hated it, but it was always a cool talking point thing to see. But what is relatively new in the last, I mean, I say relatively new, I used to come here a lot as a kid, so anywhere that's been built in the last 10 or 15 years is relatively new. All those restaurants and cinema and things up there, you got the Odeon, TGI Fridays, Las Iguanas, that's all relatively new, as in built this century. Like I say, my criteria is, I came here every year throughout the 90s and then haven't been here a lot since. But it is, I mean, most of it still looks exactly as it did. If you want to see a full walkthrough of everything in these gardens, I am planning on doing a live stream tomorrow as I'm recording, but it'll already be out by the time this video is out, where I'm literally starting at the top of the town. I'm walking all the way down to the pier and live streaming the whole thing, so that'll give you the full tour of everything that's in here. I'll still show you the key bits, like this crazy golf, which I used to do once a year, every year, from the ages of about 8 to about 18. And of course, I always won. Over here, you've got the little bandstand where in the evenings they do play live music. Not necessarily every evening, but certainly in the summer, happens quite regularly. I'm just gonna dive down this little path to the side and show you the little stream as well. But it's a fun little crazy golf course. You can see there's some hotels and stuff lining either side around us as well, because it is very, very seasidey. So close-up view of the bandstand, and there is the little stream. It runs all the way through the upper gardens as well. Lovely clear water as well. It's not very deep. I used to, yeah, it goes out to the sea. I used to paddle in that as a little kid. It's got stony bottom, so I didn't like that, but I enjoy paddling in things, so that's always a fun place to paddle. And then over here, the path kind of splits in two, and in that little bunch of trees there, there's always loads of squirrels, and more often than not, people in there feeding the squirrels, because squirrels are great. So at various points through the park as well, you have these little slopes that take you back up into the town centre. You can see there's a little bar up there that's playing some music at the moment. And yeah, the town centre kind of runs all along the side there, and the park is kind of in the dip in between the two bits of it. And you can see just in front of us, we are getting closer and closer. The seagull noises all of a sudden are very appropriate as we get closer and closer to the sea. We've got the big wheel, we've got the whatever that is, the pavilion, I think that is. They do shows and stuff in there. Never actually been in there. And this is where you can get your churros, your ice cream. I've not seen any squirrels in there today, which is really upsetting. I'm going to go squirrel hunting in a bit. I mean, I'm colourblind, but even I can see that that is very colourful and tropical looking over there. If you just showed someone a picture of that who didn't know Bournemouth, they wouldn't assume you were in the UK. That takes some beating. So one of the strangest things about Bournemouth is the way you have the main road running right across the little seafront area on stilts. I guess it's better that it's on stilts than you having to cross the road, but yeah, it's does take away from the scenery just a smidgen. If you're ever in any doubt whether or not you're at the seaside and you don't want to like check for sea, a couple of simple rules that let you know you are at the seaside. There's probably an upside down house and there's probably a big wheel. If you can see both of those things from where you're standing, I would say it's like a 98% chance you are at the seaside. You know what, I was moaning a little bit about this bridge having the road above us, but actually this cafe have used it fantastically to their advantage because there's very little shade either that way towards the beach and the pier or that way into the park. There's not much shade around, but just there, all of their outdoor seating is in the shade because they're under the bridge. That's taken advantage of the hand you're dealt. And now we emerge into where Bournemouth Pier is. And you can see the sea on the horizon there. One big change when I used to come here a lot when I was younger is there used to be, and I say used to be, it wasn't for very long, it was built, I would consider it being built relatively recently, but there was a massive building there with an IMAX cinema and a Jumping Jacks nightclub. One of the 4 times in my life I've been in a nightclub was in that building that is no longer there. I think they built it and then knocked it down within like 10 years because it was a complete eyesore, but it was like 4 or 5 stories tall. There was a bar on the top of a little balcony, you could look out over the sea, big cinema, restaurant, soft play area, all that kind of stuff. It's not there anymore. Instead, they've just got a little tourist information place, and behind it, the largest fish and chip shop in the world, which you can just see the top of. We'll go and have a look at that in a second. We've got Harry Ramsden's over there. You can also just see the Isle of Wight over there as well, which is cool. And then we've got the pier, which we'll go out on in a second, complete with amusements. The Oceanarium, which is awesome. I've been in there many times as well. And a little restaurant-y bar place over there. You've also got the arena behind there with the like tan roof. That's where if they ever have any concerts or shows or wrestling or anything, it happens in there. Right, actually I think I was mistaken before. This tourist information might be on a little bit of the remnants of the big building that was here, but what it looks like they've replaced most of it with is a new adventure golf, which I've never seen before. Smuggler's Cove Adventure Golf, which is very close to the other one that we just looked at in the park, but that looks very cool. Never been in that one because it's relatively new, and that is definitely sat in the foundations of the old IMAX cinema. So we've hit the pier and turned left, and we're going to have a little bit of a walk down the promenade. What you've actually got down here as well, which you might just be able to see in the distance, I think it's about 1.5 miles walk, is Boscombe Pier, the next town along. But that is a Bournemouth Pier in all of its glory, including a zip line. You can see the base of it here. We'll have a look at it when we're on the pier in a bit. But there's a zip line running from the end of the pier down to the beach, which no, I am absolutely not going to go on. I'm almost certainly over the weight limit, so I'm going to use that as my excuse. But when I was a kid, we would more often than not actually go and park at Boscombe End and then walk down a bit, because Bournemouth Beach, as you can see, is always very busy. It is the middle of August that we're here, so it's in the school summer holidays, but it is a busy, busy beach. Whereas if you go up that way a little bit more towards Boscombe, it starts to thin out a little bit. And if you go beyond Boscombe Pier, you can often have enough beach space, even in August, for a little bit of kicking a ball around or playing cricket on the beach, which is what we used to do when we were kids. But here we have the massive Harry Ramsden's Fish and Chip Shop, which is huge. The restaurant goes all the way back there. All of that, you can see the Harry Ramsden sign is on the end there, so that is all Harry Ramsden's restaurant. They do have a takeaway as well, so you can just go and grab some chips and eat them outside, but you've actually got a lot of outdoor seating as part of the restaurant as well. And then the restaurant itself goes all the way down here. You've got Harry's Cafe as well, Harry's Desserts. It is huge. I haven't done my fact checking, so take this with a pinch of salt. Editor Kev will maybe confirm one way or the other, but certainly at one point, and possibly still even now, largest fish and chip shop in the world. And it's pretty good as well. Pretty good fish and chips from Harry Ramsden's. One of the things that I really like about Bournemouth is that because of the way the cliffs are, you kind of have to leave the rest of the town behind and come down from the cliffs down to where the beach is. And because of that, you don't have cars, you don't have loads of shops, bars, buses, anything like that down here. It is literally just for the beach. It feels like a very Mediterranean beach setup. And look at the sand. It's such a beautiful, fine sand, light sandy beach that is, again, if you hit all the bushes, because the bushes are a bit of a giveaway, but if you just kind of looked at it from that angle and walked along like that, you could probably convince me I was back in Barcelona. It's very, very cool. Of course, the flip side of that is that there's no way to just park right next to the beach. So we've parked in a multi-storey car park way back in the town centre. There is lots of cliff top parking as well. But if you park on top of the cliff, you then obviously have to get down the cliffs. So you can just see there's all of these zigzag paths that kind of come down the cliffs, zigzagging across. I think that one's actually just a long slope rather than a zigzag. But all the way along, you've got these little zigzag paths to bring you down from the top of the cliff down to beach level. So just over there, again, it's one of those situations where I'm filming it. I have no idea if the camera's picking it up. That's the Isle of Wight, which you can get boat trips to. You certainly used to be able to from the pier. I don't know if you still can. We'll check when we're on the pier in a bit. There's a better look of the pier. And very snazzy it is too. And then round that side is where you get towards Poole Harbour, Sandbanks, all the super duper expensive houses. Some of the most expensive real estate in the world is not far the other side of that pier. And there goes the land train, which runs between the two piers and is awesome. Went on that many, many times as a kid. In fact, our go-to play would be park at Boscombe End, and if we wanted to be down here, park at that end because it was cheaper. Get the train down here, do an evening in Bournemouth, and then we'd have to walk back because we'd leave it until after the train was done, and it's like a 10-15 minute walk. But yeah, I used to hate the walk as a kid but loved the train. That's cool that that's still running. I didn't mention it before because I didn't know if it still existed. I'm glad it does. One other thing worth mentioning, we have the Sunset Beach Club. There are a few of these that are basically bars on the beach where you can go and grab a drink, grab something to eat. There you go, lunch, dinner and cocktails, takeaway food and stuff. I think that's just very, very cool. Right next to the pier, and also right next to a Red Arrows simulator, which would be absolutely bonkers. I would absolutely throw up in that. And then you can just, I don't know if we're seeing it, but you can just see now a couple of people coming down over the zip line from the pier onto the beach, which does look very, very cool. That guy was holding out a GoPro. I'll try and nab his footage. This is one of the most ingenious things I've seen at a beach shop before. My dad would have loved this when we were kids. They'll actually pump up your inflatables in the shop, that's just something that everyone should have been doing for years, and I can't believe I've never seen anywhere do it before. It's so obvious. Why doesn't everywhere do it? Right, we are venturing onto the pier now. One thing I do remember about Bournemouth Pier is you do have to pay to get on it, which I hope it's either very cheap or they take card, because we've got maybe £2 worth of cash on us, because we don't really carry cash. We've got a little bit left over from the last time we were in an arcade, but we are heading. Oh, there you go, it says there in big letters, card payments only, in fact. So not just card payments accepted, you must pay by card. This modern world is very convenient for me. I used to hate having to carry a wallet. Well, as the obvious accessibility and quality of life improvements that Anna's got with the scooter now, we are now starting Project Scooter Pays for Itself, because I just got on for free as Anna's carer. I said 2 adults please. He said, "Are you with the lady in the chair?" And I said, "Yes, I am." "Just one then." Carer gets in for free. So that's £1.50 towards the cost of that scooter. We will keep track of it. Anna's trying to do a squashed penny at the moment. What's your slight problem? Well, then you probably can't squash a 5p. It has to be a penny, doesn't it? I haven't seen one of these that is still coin operated for a while, actually. They're usually card now, they are available online as well. So we are on the pier, which I acknowledge. Having to pay to get on the pier is not ideal, but it is only £1.50 per adult. I think it was £1.20 for children. There's someone else coming down the zip line now. It does look a lot of fun. If ever there was an incentive for me to lose some weight so I can have a go on that, that probably is something that would convince me. I think I'm over the weight limit. Yeah, you could do it. Well, oh yeah, I was going to say, you should not do it. They wouldn't let you on. They also had a season ticket available for £5, which would cover you every day through until the end of October. So if you were here for a week or 2 on holiday, you can just get the season ticket and come on the pier whenever you want. There isn't actually a huge amount on the pier compared to some piers. There's a little bit of a restaurant at the end. We'll show you that in a second, but it's not like chock full of amusements and theatres and stuff like that, like what you would expect on a lot of piers. So it very much is a case of you come on it because the view from it is really, really cool. It's still in one piece, which is unique for a lot of British seaside resorts. And it does give you a very, very cool view of the Bournemouth seafront when we get along it and spin around like this. And you get to see all of that cool stuff, including someone else coming down the zip line again. So where you would perhaps expect the theatre on the pier to be, in Bournemouth, it's Rock Reef, which is an indoor activity attraction that includes 28 walls. Anna needed to reverse to get in the shade. Well, we have made it to the end of the pier where there is very minimal funfair. We have a carousel, we have a helter-skelter, and then that is how you get onto the zip line, which runs all the way down there. There's also a bar, restaurant with some nice little outdoor seats. Me and Anna have eaten there before. In fact, I think the last time we made a video in Bournemouth, we had a meal in there that was pretty nice. And I don't remember there being this much outdoor seating then. A couple of little rides as well. This fair used to be much more significant when I was younger. It's definitely been minimised to fit this thing in and to expand the bar. And here we are at the very end of the pier, so best chance of being able to see the Isle of Wight. That way, quite far, we've got France.
Where?
I mean, you can't see it. It's quite far. No, you can't. Yeah, Anna can see Disney apparently. And then you've got the rest of the coast going around there into just at the end. You can see Poole Harbour. Please say that again for the video. That is not Wales, no. How could it possibly be Wales?
So I thought we were in that lucky bit.
Absolutely not. We are on the south coast. So yeah, just to clarify, that's Wales. There you go. There's your price list for the zip line. Very much going to be paying summer prices in the middle of August. So £25 for a single person, or £75 for a family of 4, which seems quite reasonable actually. Oh, there you go. There's a bigger version of it here. Does it have a weight limit? Yeah, maximum 120. I'm over 120, I'm afraid. So I can't do it. And I imagine you can't do it because it'll mention back problems. Does it mention back problems? Oh, there you go. You're going on it then. Despite having come to Bournemouth dozens of times over the last 30 years, 30 plus years, I've never eaten inside at Harry Ramsden's before. They've got frickles on the menu. I am excited. Right, we have our food. Let's have a little look what we've got in here. So I've gone for haddock and chips. Tiny portion, by the way. I've also got some frickles. Anna's got a prawn cocktail. And poached cod, because she's not a fan of batter, which is madness for these tiny portions. And we got 2 drinks each. Fun drink, functional drink, £58. It's worth coming in here for the novelty of coming to Harry Ramsden's, but it may be the best fish and chips I've ever had. This is a frickle. which is nice. But roasting hot. Well, I've got to say, my first ever experience of eating in the Harry Ramsden's restaurant, I'm a little bit disappointed. It was very expensive. The portions were very small. It was fine, but I know for a fact there are plenty of chip shops within walking distance of here that would give you better fish and chips. If we are doing the direct comparison with Skegness that we talked about at the start of the video, Bournemouth loses that one, but only by default because I wanted the novelty of eating in the biggest chip shop in the world. And now I never need to do it again. Right, we're actually cutting the video, not short, because I'm going to finish it, but we've got to nip back to where we're staying now because Anna's scooter battery is about to die. We forgot to charge it yesterday after our long theme park day, and we're a little bit touch and go whether it's even going to make it back to the car. So we're going to rush back there. I am back in Bournemouth tomorrow for the live stream, so I'm just going to come an hour or two early and finish the video then. So if the next time you see me I'm wearing a slightly different coloured t-shirt, that's why. Well, not for the first time on this trip, and I'm sure not for the last, the great British weather has decided not to cooperate. I am back down at the pier where we were yesterday, so we looked at all that side yesterday. We are going to have a look over here, but I suggest you're not necessarily going to see it in all its glory in the current weather conditions. I am very tempted to just dive into the arcade. I've got like an hour and a half to kill before my live stream, and I do not want to be starting that absolutely soaking wet. So we've got one of several nice little restaurants around here. That one's been there years and years and years, but is pretty decent. And then if we come round this side of the pier, we've got coffees, ice creams, toilets, and then the oceanarium, which is awesome. I've been in there a few times over the years as well. It's very, very cool. Some particularly smelly penguins in there. And then we get around here for a look at the pier from this side, which is largely people hiding under it to shelter from the rain, which is coming down pretty heavily now, which obviously does have an impact on the number of people on the beach as well. Now, when I was a kid, we didn't often venture this side of the pier because traditionally there wasn't really a lot up here. I mean, if you keep going far enough, you'll get Sandbanks, Pool Harbour, but they are a big walk. And let's face it, for young families, there's not much to do in either of those places either. But it looks like they have added a few more bits and bobs down here. Most notably, we've got another beach bar, which again, as you can imagine in the weather, doesn't look quite as busy as the other one that we had down the other end yesterday. But we'll go and check it out just in case. So this is the back end of the oceanarium, including the little outdoor eating area, which strangely nobody is using. So another restaurant, another takeaway, and here is that other beach bar, which actually I think is closed. I don't know if that's closed for the weather. I don't know if it's closed because of the time of day, but it doesn't look like there's a lot going on there. W Beach. And yeah, so you've got various little bits of seating areas, over 21s only, so it's effectively a little private bit of beach where you can book a sun lounger, book a table in there, and then get food, drinks and cocktails from this place that isn't open. So I think it's more targeted towards being open during the day as an option for people on the beach, rather than somewhere for people to load up on beverages in the evening, which is probably why it's closed now as it approaches 6 o'clock. And then you get a little bit further and you see the other reason why my parents were always quite reluctant to bring us down this end, because you've got the amusements, and me and my brother would spend many, many hours in Happyland if given the opportunity. Although I would suggest the amusements on the pier are probably better, but this one definitely has more of that old school British seaside, Skegnessy kind of feel, which is always welcome. This beach is absolutely deserted. Such a contrast from yesterday. It is still the middle of August, just like it was yesterday, but what a difference a little turn in the weather can make, which I guess is for the best. You get to see Bournemouth at its best and Bournemouth at its rainy worst. And then the one other thing I want to show you down this end before we head down the other end and wrap things up is the lift, which I've only ever been on once, and it was actually as part of a video the last time we were down here in Bournemouth, and you can just see it there sticking out on the side of the cliff, because as I mentioned before, obviously to get back to any kind of civilization you have to find a way to get up the cliff, whether it's the slow walk up through the park, whether it's climbing the very high staircases like what we've got there, whether it's using some of the many zigzags, or your alternative when it's open is the lift that doesn't look like it's running at this time of day. So there is the West Cliff lift, which as you can see is abandoned halfway up. It has been open today. It says last lift was at 4:50 today, so we've missed that. Not that we need to be up there anyway. And it costs £2.50 for a single, or you can get a family, which is 2 adults and up to 3 children, £7.50. Carers or under 5s go free, or a 7-day unlimited pass, £12.50. Which, if you've got a hotel at the top there, which we did the last time we came, that's why we ended up riding on it for the first time, because our hotel was just at the top of that cliff and round the corner, so it was really handy for us to get down to the beach last time. Less so this time, because we're on a holiday park half hour's drive away, and we just parked in a normal car park. But it is fun and it is useful, and it's certainly better than going up the silly, stupid high zigzags. And there we have one more beach bar situation, the beach shack at the West Cliff, so you can get drinks and food and stuff there and come down onto the beach and consume them. And with that, folks, I think we are at the end of my tour around Bournemouth. When I started this video, I didn't expect to be ending it with an umbrella. The pier is behind me, but I'd rather keep both myself and the camera dry for this end shot. Let me know down in the comments what other seaside places you would like to see me visit. If you haven't seen any of the previous videos in this playlist, the general gist is I'm trying to prove Skegness is not the worst seaside town in the UK. I don't know that I've proved it today, because like I've said all the way through, I actually prefer this to Skegness. This is probably my favourite seaside town in the entire country, so probably need to find some that go more towards proving my point. But let me know what your favourites and which ones you think are the worst ones down in the comment section below. If you've enjoyed the video, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on it for me. It really is massively helpful. And of course, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications if you are new, and I'll see you again very, very soon. Thank you very much for watching. Doodle pip.